Berlin sells freedom to you. This is the city where the bass never fade, where strangers become friends in the smoky street, and where neon lights wash the rules of the outside world. Roads never sleep, and music never stops. But in the spring of 2012, that freedom was somewhat frightening. Somewhere between bars, train stations, and crowded dance floors, a hunter hunted in silence. He went easily through anarchy, his face forgettable, his attraction, his weapon invisible, a colorless liquid, a tasteless poison, when no one was watching, slipped into a drink. Berlin's nightlife, built on trust and liberation, unknowingly gave him the right camouflage. One night in a club backroom, a man slipped forward. First, the staff admitted that he had just collapsed with exhaustion, another participant who danced very long. But by morning, it was clear that it was not a very common case. The man was dead. The police had some clues, but began to spread rapidly. There was someone who was targeting the heart of Berlin's nightlife. Somebody was mixed as a fellow rebel, but who was in fact a hunter. Berlin's club culture is contrary to any other in the world. In these places, oblivion is celebrated, the phone is tapped to protect privacy, and the rule is simple. Whatever you want to be, they are free. The city became a global capital for electronic music, Q culture, and escape for a sanctuary. But he came with the sanctuary risk. Very openness made it magical, also made it weak. Inside these packed places, surrounded by flashing lights and fast heartbeat, you can lose yourself and not notice that when someone else was taking advantage. In early 2012, emergency respondents were noticing disturbing patterns. Healthy youth, often found unconscious after nights, from the Q community. Sometimes their body was discovered in clubs, sometimes at home after meeting someone. In many cases, purse and precious items were missing. First, the police considered contingency overdose. After all, drugs like GHB are known as liquid ecstasy, or simply G on the scene. Not uncommon. In small doses, it gave enthusiasm, but in large quantities, it can cause blackouts, seizures, even death. Autopsy repeatedly revealed the same toxic signature, a heavy dose of GHB. But the pattern suggested that this simple experiment was not wrong. It was deliberately. Someone was drinking drinks. Anyone was using GHB as a weapon, turning the culture of consent into a weapon of control. The victims were not just overaging, they were being looted, exploited, and in some cases were killed. Berlin's party was a hunter in the middle of heaven. The police started cutting the last nights of the victims together. The last vision of a friend, once the tab left some blurred seconds of a stranger occupied by unpaid, a late-night taxi ride, CCTV. Eyewitnesses described a person who looked attractive and reliable, someone who offered companionship, a safe house, or a drink to share. But once the drink was taken, everything became dark. One body turned into two, then in three. The nervousness started spreading. The clubs warned the mentor. Bartenders whispered to keep an eye on each other. The press started reporting on a possible serial killer harassing the city's nightlife. When the pressure rose, finally a man survived. He was targeted in the same way. A night of the drink, a stranger's company, then suddenly blackout. But with luck, or sheer flexibility, he managed to avoid deadly doses. His memories were fragmented, such as broken glass sharks. But he remembered quite the man's voice, his actions, and the most important thing, that he took through the Berlin Ostbahnhof station. This expansion became a turn. Investigators dug out of the surveillance footage for hours from the train station. The granular images flicked on the screen until a frame stopped them cool. A man was guiding a surprise partner, running quickly, then going back to the camera. That fleeting form became success. The police now had a face, and Berlin had a name for the audience who was having his nightlife killer. As soon as the news spread, more witnesses came forward. Bar and club employees remembered a face. The victims who survived the suspected encounters recognized the details. The puzzle began to fit together. Police tracked movements in nightlife districts in Kreuzberg, Friedrichshain, and Schöneberg, Berlin. Every line of the map pointed the same man back. In May 2012, the suspect was arrested. That was not the imagination of the demon people. He was simple, even forgettable. This was his biggest disguise. The truth was detected in the trial. The person known as Dirk P. systematically targeted men, often in queer nightlife slices, attracting them with attraction, then drugs and robbing them. When the overdose became fatal, he did not hesitate. Their crimes were not imprisoned, they were calculated. Toxicology reports, stolen goods, witness testimony, and monitoring footage painted a harmful painting. The families of the victims sat in the court, destroyed, as they came to know how their loved ones were cheated and abandoned. For Berlin's Q community, it was more than murder. It was a violation of safe places they fought to make. The decision was life imprisonment. For some, it was justice. For others, nothing can cure damage. But even it was closed. Months later, news came that Dirk P. had taken his life in custody. The story ended with silence, not with confession or redemption. For families, that silence was cruel. There will be no answer to gendering questions. There is no explanation of why. There is no opportunity to hear from your lips for truth. Later, Berlin's nightlife began to change. Clubs took security more seriously. The poster warned the mentor about tampering with drinking. Employees were trained to see the signs of spiking. Disadvantaged groups spoke openly about GHB and its risks. Within the community, new criteria came out. Never leave your drink unattractive, always text when coming home, and never let friends disappear at night alone. Culture was customized. Berlin did not leave his freedom, learned how to make it better. But the deepest tragedy lies under the headlines and security operations. Life was shortened. Families left behind memories and sorrow that no test or decision could be eradicated. Parents who still wait for the calls that will never come. Friends who leave songs on the playlist keep their loved ones alive for a few minutes of music. The detectives recalled the ghost silence of the morgues in the morning after the search nights, forcing you to feel the weight of the kind of silence you have lost. Today, Berlin's clubs are alive again. The music still echoes, the crowd still dances, and the city still welcomes people around the world. But the memory of nightlife killer lingers, a reminder who, also in places of freedom and happiness, is necessary. In many places, security is now naturally spoken as no photo policies or doors of doors. Patrons look out for each other. The spirit of Berlin survives, but with strong eyes, with more care, with a fast that the hunters will never mix so easily in the shade again. The matter matters because it is not just about the crimes of a man. This is about how predators exploited faith and how the community can respond. This is about how to protect without destroying the culture of bliss. It indicates that the nightlife is not trivial. It is a lifeline, a community, a culture that is worth defense. Nightlife killer thought that he could take advantage of oblivion. Instead, he highlighted the strength of solidarity. Picture Berlin in dawn. Roads are wet by rain, the air has cigarette smoke, and trains slide in Osterbahnhof with their stable us. The crowd got tired but smiling. Take stories from night. Some are hand, others are alone, but all are seen by a community who has learned to take care. The music did not stop. The city did not surrender, but neither clock. And now I want to ask you, if this story teaches anything, it will have to live together with happiness and vigilance. So tell me, a safety habit that you believe that every club and bar in the world should be adopted now? Because sometimes the tip you shared can be what protects someone's life from 3 o'clock.